everyone, so my name is Himi. I am originally from Dhaka, Bangladesh. I currently live in Queens, New York, and I'm a recent graduate from the University of Rochester. So a lot of students would be like, oh, I started doing my research like in 7th grade or 8th grade or something like that. That's totally valid. I myself did that. But what I realized is that I actually started doing more research as to what university I wanted to go to in the summer before I started applying. So that was the summer of 2015. So I sat down and I had a list of things that I wanted from my specific university. So the first thing for me was that it needed to have a good engineering school because I wanted to go to because I am an engineer, so I wanted to go to engineering school. So that was something that was very important to me. The second thing for me was that it had a larger international student body, especially because as an international student, I wanted to fit in and I wanted to feel welcome. And I thought that would be easier at a school with a larger number of international students. That was one of my main goals. The third thing for me was it had a good career center, or it had the ability to give me the opportunities of networking and increase my career objectives. And then the fourth thing, and this is something that was extremely personal for me, was that the school provided financial aid for international students, whether it be merit-based or whether it was financial, or it was just dependent on financial aid. So those are the four things that I looked for when I was applying to university. I went on to the US News website and I actually looked at a lot of the different schools that were listed there. So now this is very important because growing up in South Asia, something that was very important to me was everyone kept talking that, oh, it's either this top name or this other top name, and people didn't really talk about the schools that were not in the top 10. So I wanted to look past that, so I looked up other universities. So I basically went onto their websites. So some of the schools I applied to, few of them are Boston University. I applied to Fordham University and Temple University and University of Rochester. Those are just four that I applied to out of the 10 that I actually finally ended up applying to. So the reason I mentioned these four is because they're well-known universities, but you wouldn't hear people talk about this within your surrounding. So I wanted to apply to these schools anyways because I wanted to give it a shot. So what I did is I went onto their individual websites. So if you go onto their website, you'll see is that they have these request more information or websites. Do those, sign up for those, as oftentimes they will end up giving you offers for free application, and that's a good money saving tip for students, especially if you're an international student. And this way you also get to build up a relationship with someone from the admissions office. This helps you just to connect with someone, network with someone, and this is a great opportunity for you to get to know that individual as well, so you get to know that university's perspective and what are they looking for a potential applicant. The second thing I did was I spoke to alumni. So I was lucky. I got a huge network of people. There's something called the Bangladesh Beyond Border group on Facebook, and it's a really helpful source for students who are applying to foreign universities from Bangladesh. I highly recommend joining that group, especially if you're from Bangladesh. It's a really helpful website. It's a really helpful Facebook group where if you have any questions, whether it be about SAT prep or whether it be about talking to an alumni or connecting with an alumni. So I was able to do that. That also came from my high school, because the school I went to, the class immediately before me, a lot of them went to very different universities. So I got the opportunity to talk to a lot of them and learn about their time at those universities, and in turn they also helped me look at my application, go over my application and stuff like that, just to help me become stronger in terms, especially to create a more stronger application. So a lot more universities in the US are becoming test optional. So I know that all of the UC colleges, which is the University of California colleges, just went test optional, and I know a lot more other big schools are doing that, and I commend that. Thank you for doing that, making it easier for first generation students and low income family students to get the opportunity to apply to these big colleges now. But when I was applying to college, I took the ACT and I took the SAT subject test. So I took the ACT. In Bangladesh, you can take the test, you can register for the test, and you will take it at the American International School, Dhaka. And I took the SAT subject test. So I did end up taking the IELTS, but I later found out that I didn't need to take it, because since I went to an English medium school, I had a background of like learning in English. So I believe that you do have the option to ask for an IELTS or a TOEFL waiver. So the way I did it is I reached out to my university, so to my school counselor in the summer before, so like when classes started. So I reached out to my counselor in August or September, sometime around that, and I requested for my recommendation letters. Now this is very important. You'd want to get a recommendation letter from teachers or professors who know you really well, who you've built a relationship with, who can attest to your academic, your personal, and your perseverance as a student, because that's what the universities are looking for. So I ended up going to my physics teacher, and I ended up going to my school counselor and my math tutor, who I was doing coaching with. The reason I did that is because my math teacher outside of my school knew me better, and he's been teaching me for like 4 years at this point, so he had a better understanding of how I would perform in an academic setting. So the other thing about recommendation letter is you want to be building these relationships starting your 11th grade or 10th grade. The reason behind that is so that they can attest to that and then talk more about you, rather than just be like, oh, this person reached out to me this year. So they know who you are in the back of their head when they're writing these recommendation letters. So something I learned about the US college application procedure is that they're looking for consistency. So you are consistent in whatever it is that you're doing. So for me, community service was very important. So I was involved with the community service organization on campus, and I did a variety of other like community services throughout my high school career. So that was one extracurricular that was very important to me, and that was something that I did very like I was very involved with, like starting from my freshman year till my senior year. And the second thing that I did, and that was something that was really important to me too, was teaching or working as a TA for a couple of my teachers. So I did that for math, and I did that for physics. That showed that I have the capability of like that primarily showed that I did have leadership experience that could potentially be helpful as well. So those are the two extracurriculars that I was mostly involved with and I was consistent in. I did little things here and there like dancing, but that wasn't something that I was very consistent with, so that wasn't something that I put on my application. If you want to, go ahead, but most of the time, specifically for the University of Rochester, what I've seen is that they prefer consistency in whatever extracurricular that you're doing. So I did end up receiving a certificate for my internship as I worked in helping and volunteering at the evening school at Green Herald. But also I did receive the Daily Star Award for excellence in O-levels. So that was after my O-levels. I received that while I was in the 11th grade. And the second award that I had was for English examination that I took. I received the outstanding results. So those are two different awards that I had in high school, and I did put them up on my application because they were both like recognized nationally and internationally.